I can't wait to share with you 3 parent concerns that I was recently told at an IEP workshop, and I'll share with you why I had to call an expert last Friday night to help me out of a crisis. Welcome to the Special Education Inner Circle podcast. I'm your host, Katherine Witcher. If you sit at an IEP table, you belong here. For over 25 years, I've been helping parents, teachers, admins, and therapists build IEPs that work in the real world, and I can't wait to help you. Let's dive in. So I'm pumped up this morning because I just got done recording a brand new lesson for the Master IEP Coach Certificate. Inside of the Master IEP Coach Certificate, you can build your own Master IEP Coach toolbox to use at your IEP table. And today I recorded a session that had to do with checklists, a set of essential checklists, everything from inclusion to parent input to writing real-world IEP goals. It's all in there. Now, these are not checklists that are based on theory or, getting things exactly perfect all the time. No, these are checklists that are set on the reality of me helping parents for the last 20 years and working with schools and building IEPs that work in the real world. In fact, I'm going to share with you today, I'm holding in my hand 3 index cards. And the index cards, I pass them out whenever I'm doing a workshop in person. I pass out index cards. Most of the time I'm doing parent workshops, and I say, okay, what do you wish that your child's teacher knew? And then we go through strategies of how to get not just the current team to understand their child, but how to get this integrated into the IEP, because this is important. It's important for the paperwork to reflect the truly unique needs of a child, right? So that also includes that the paperwork needs to reflect the parent concerns in a way that builds trust and accountability. So let me share with you what these 3 index cards say. Now, again, these are written from parents during an IEP workshop. The first parent says, something I wish that teachers knew about my child, that she needs more frequent breaks and time to rest. Now, you might be listening to that thinking, well, then parents, you just need to tell the teacher. And the teachers are like, well, why didn't the mom just go tell the teacher? My guess is there's a breakdown in communication, and maybe the parent doesn't know how many rest breaks the child is getting. Maybe there's not data being taken on what type of breaks are happening during the day. Maybe there's not a plan inside of supports or accommodations, modifications somewhere. There's not a plan that says this is how a child needs to access their day. It needs to include these things, and these breaks or this rest time. There's data to prove that the child actually performs better in school and can reach more of her goals when she has more breaks and more rest. But without this information, without the data, then we don't have concrete evidence that this is not happening. Maybe it is happening and the parent doesn't know, or maybe it's not happening and we do need to try adding in some more breaks. We need some more rest time, and then we'll see the child thrive within their school day. So the fact that this is a concern from a parent, this could open up multiple conversations between IEP team members of what is happening, what needs to happen, does this really help to add in some more breaks and some more rest time? So that's one concern. The second concern from a parent, she writes down, she wishes that the teachers knew that communication is so important before we have a major breakdown. Meaning she just doesn't want to wait till crisis to then start communicating on a regular basis. She wants there to be more communication before disaster. It just makes sense, right? This can be in the IEP. It absolutely can be. I talk about it all the time inside of the Master IEP Coach programs. How do we get accountability and build trust through communication? And how do we get that documented inside of the IEP? It's possible. It can happen. So if you're a parent who's feeling this way, like, yeah, we only talk when there's a disaster, then that's a problem, and you absolutely can set up a proactive home to school communication. I'm actually going to wrap in here the third parent because she has two concerns. She wishes the team understood that her child learns differently. And I can remember talking to this parent. Her child has Down syndrome, and she hears all the time that, well, students with Down syndrome, and then just fill in the blank. Students with Down syndrome. And no, she's like, my child learns differently. My child is unique. Just because my child has a diagnosis of Down syndrome doesn't mean that she learns just like all the other students with Down syndrome. No, she has unique needs. But the second thing that the parent put in there is she wishes that the team understood that parents need good feedback as much as bad feedback. That wraps into this parent I was just talking about before this, where she says we need to communicate before there's a major breakdown. This is a home to school communication plan that can be put into place, not just to report good days and bad days, not just to report, how many bathroom breaks or, what happened, the speech therapist showed up today. This can be communication that celebrates the small wins that are so big. This can be communication that builds trust and accountability and just builds a team in a way where there can be honesty and transparency in good times and in times of struggle. So when I'm working with a parent or I'm working with a team of teachers and we're talking about home to school communication plans, we go beyond just talking about journals at the end of the day. We talk about how do we make sure that we are expressing to parents as educators, how do you express to a parent that you understand that their child learns differently? What are you going to show them that you're doing unique to their child and what they need? That builds trust. And how are you going to help parents celebrate the small wins? There are things that are happening every day in your classroom as a teacher that you're not sharing with parents. And you need to do that. You need to share those wins. Now, as a parent, and when I go back to, let's say the first parent, the first card that I read, where the child needs more frequent breaks and time to rest. As a parent, don't make assumptions that something's not happening at school. Start asking questions. I'm going to say that again. Don't make assumptions. Start asking questions, because I know that when I had a more in-depth conversation with this parent, she honestly didn't know how many breaks were happening. She was making an assumption based on how tired her child was at the end of the school day and kind of that home to school report that she was getting, how her child was disengaging and her child was, putting her head down on the desk. And so she's like, okay, my child's not getting enough breaks. And I get it. We can see that when I'm saying this out loud right now, you're like, yeah, that's common sense. Like I can see that the child probably needs more breaks. But what if the child is getting enough breaks, but they're at the wrong time of the day? What if the child is getting breaks and rest time, but it's not the right type of breaks? We all know that we can take breaks that are energizing to us. They refuel us. We're like, yes, let's go. And sometimes we take a break and we're like, I'm still tired. Like that didn't do anything for my soul right now. It's the same for children. So I want to encourage you to use the IEP paperwork, use the system, not just for the foundation of, we need to have goals, we need to have services, we need to have those things. Yes, we have to have all those pieces in the paperwork, but we can customize this paperwork. So these three parents, where I'm holding their cards in my hand right now, I see their handwriting of just, they're frustrated. They're like, I don't get it. Why can't this be easier? Why can't this be better? I'm like, it can, but we need to integrate these things into the paperwork so we have, again, this accountability and trust moving forward. So I want to just share something with you that happened this week. It's not a story that I expected to share, but I was watching TV. It was me, my husband, my stepson. We're watching TV on a Friday night. The room's all dark. I think we were watching Shark Tank. And we have a lot of windows in our house. And there was this shadow that just kind of happened on the TV. And I was like, well, that was weird. But nobody said anything. So I'm just continue watching the show. Gonna see who's gonna get an offer by the sharks. And the shadow happened again. So I turn to my husband and I say, did you see that? Like, I feel like I almost felt something too. And he's like, yeah. I freak out. I scream. I run to the bedroom, which is right off of the living room. I shut the door and I start hollering. What is it? What is it? What is it? And he says, it's a bird. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a bird in the house. Oh my goodness. Like, what are we going to do? There's a bird in the house. Now, I live in a condo on the 9th floor. So like we're high up. There was only one door open, one way that this bird could have gotten in. But here's the problem. I open up the bedroom door. I peek out so I can see the bird and I say, that is not a bird. And we look a little bit closer. It is a bat. There is a bat in my house. This is not good on a Friday night. So I start Googling all the things. I'm like, how do you get a bat out? How do you make sure that you don't get bit by a bat? What's the safest way to do this? How do we get them to like find the doorway and like fly out into the world? Like, how do we do this? I'm just getting scared by reading all of the things that we're supposed to do. Get the box, get the piece of cardboard, make sure you wear gloves, all of these things. And then finally I said, forget it. I'm going to look up, there's got to be somebody around that takes care of bats. I wonder if they can come out tonight. So I find somebody, and he's a specialist. I don't know how you become a specialist in removing bats from people's homes, but he is. I call him, I leave a message. I'm crossing my fingers that perhaps he just didn't pick up because it's a Friday night from a strange number. Leave a voicemail. He calls me back right away. He says, yep, I can be there. I'm about 15 minutes from you. Just, stay there, leave the bat alone. It'll be okay. I'll see you in 15 minutes. I said, okay. He says, it's going to be $150 for me to come get rid of this bat. I'm like, I don't care. I will pay the $150 because I don't want to get bit. I don't want my husband to get bit. I don't want this bat to go like make a home in the top of my cabinets, right? I'm like, I don't care. Just please come here. So he says, okay. So he shows up, comes walking in the house, and I'm like, I don't see anything in his hands. Like, how's he going to get this bat? Like, where's the big net? Where's the cage? Where's the something? He literally, in the back of his pocket, he's got one glove and he's got a brown paper lunch bag. He walks over, puts the glove on, reaches up, takes the bat. The bat hisses a little bit. The wings go out big. He takes the bat, puts it into the lunch bag, folds it up, and says, okay, that'll be $150. Took him like 30 seconds to do this. Now, I don't care that it only took him 30 seconds to do this because he was an expert who then came in and he also was able to tell me that was a silver hair bat. They are solo bats. Like there's not a family around. He just took a wrong turn. He probably, he came through that one open door that you have up here from your balcony. Like, it's never going to happen again. The chances of this happening again are like nothing. So he was able to calm me down, tell me what kind of bat it was. It took 30 seconds. He was available on my schedule. He was an expert. I did not pay him $150 because he worked for 30 seconds. I paid him $150 because it only took him 30 seconds to solve all my problems that night. I think a lot of times we are afraid to ask for help. As teachers, as parents, we're afraid to look for the expert because we're like, I'm going to have to make an investment in this expert. But you know what? Experts get to make your life easier. It's worth the investment so you can sleep at night. It's worth the investment so you don't have to spend all the time trying to Google and figure it out by yourself where you might get it right or you might get it wrong. And I just want to encourage you that if you're looking for an IEP expert, I want you to consider going to the Master IEP Coach directory. It's just at masteriepcoach.com/directory. You have an entire page just that you can scroll and scroll and scroll and find the IEP expert that can help you. Or maybe you want to be the expert. Maybe you want to be the person who can show up when somebody needs you and take care of something quickly when it comes to this IEP process. You want to be that go-to person that somebody is going to take their time and they're going to invest in you to be their expert to solve those problems quickly. That's called becoming a master IEP coach. You make things easier. You help people sleep at night. You help them stop all the Googling. You stop this overthinking process for them, and you become part of their solution. That's called the Master IEP Coach Mentorship and Community. And I would love to help you become that expert for someone else. Just go ahead and reach out to me or go to masteriepcoach.com and you'll see options for how you can find a Master IEP Coach to help you, how you can become a Master IEP Coach so you can help others. Because experts are needed, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to become the expert that somebody is looking for, because goodness, I can tell you, I am glad that somebody became the expert on how to get a bat out of a house because I needed that expert. So if you need that expert, do not hesitate to reach out. And I cannot wait to see you guys next time on the Special Education Inner Circle podcast. Wait, one quick thing before you go. If you enjoyed this episode of the Special Education Inner Circle podcast, could you please leave a review, share it with a friend, or maybe even take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram? Every time you leave a review or share, it helps more parents and teachers find resources they need to help them at their IEP table.